Civivi. Welcome back, everyone. I am Zell, and today we're going to talk a little bit about the Civivi knives. I've had these knives since Blade Show, however long that's been, and I kind of backed off and did not do a full-on review of them because they were prototypes. And these are still prototypes. However, as we'll find out with this one, it is in production form, except for possibly the blade finish. So, what is Civivi and why is we bringing it to you? Well, we understands and listens and sees that there are a lot of people out there that would like to have a high quality knife that either don't want to spend or can't spend $100+ on a pocket knife. So they've been working for more than a year to gather up the Civivi brand and bring it to you. And they've made some hard decisions because I spoke with Joe about this more than once. He wants to bring you the absolute quality that you get out of a WE knife, and the build quality and all that, but he wants to bring it to you at a price that just about everyone can afford. And that's what we've got here. These knives are MSRP'd at $50. That's $50 US. I know for sure that they should sell on the street for under $45. So that means shipping, handling, everything. If you have to pay that stuff, you can probably get one to your domicile for $50 or less. And that's a beautiful thing. How did they get there? That's what this video is about. We're not going to dig into ergonomics, length, size, all that kind of stuff today. We'll do that whenever I have some more of the production versions available so that we can get a deep look at a true production version. But let's go through the parts list because these things are made in the same factory by the same people on the same machines, and from what I can tell, the same tolerances that your regular WE knife would be made. So how did they get there? Well, it's changing the bill of materials. And what they have done, we'll talk about the blade steel last because that's a big one. But what they've done is they've went with stainless liners. They've went with stainless screws. Now they're still very good screws. I think I've got a T8 in this Scout Leather Company driver. Let's see if we can get the WEHA up there for you. Still just as tight as WE screws. I don't know if they're making these themselves. I would assume they are. It wouldn't make any sense if they have the machine set up to make them. It wouldn't make any sense to make the titanium screws and not make these unless they can buy huge quantities of them at reasonable prices. But anyhow, stainless screws, stainless liners, G10 back spacers, and G10 scales. Now get a look at the G10. That G10, let me bring the light over here so we can get a little more light on it and I can get blinded. That G10 is somewhere between your average G10 that you're seeing on a $50 knife and the G10 that you're seeing on the $100 or so WE knives. It is still a higher layer count. It's still got a harder resin, and that allows them to do all the really nice milling and have it come out really sharp and pretty. And it's just very, very nice. The liners, and this isn't the best one. I wish I had. If you guys remember back to the Practic that had the blue liners, that shows the liners off better. But they have gold and blue liners, or bronze, whatever you want to call it there, and they are skeletonized, and they just well, I've got to figure out what that process is, pick Joe's brain a little bit, because that is just super cool for stainless. And here's how they pull off getting the prices down. Whenever they decided on colors, whenever they decided on the steel that they were going to use for the liners and for the pocket clips, they went to their suppliers and they bought oodles of this stuff. and it's all sourced locally for them, so the prices were very reasonable whenever you're buying in mass. And that is, well, it's the same thing we do here or over in Europe. The more you can buy, the less it costs. And that's exactly what they've done here. They have bought oodles of material so that whenever they make the knives, everything comes out less expensive. And they have made some beautiful knives. They say that they're running on stainless ball bearings. The ball bearings look very similar to the ones that are in the regular WE knives. Not going to take one apart today, but just trust me, they look very similar and they obviously work just as well. And just a beautiful knife, but that is how they've done it. They have set themselves up to be able to purchase huge amounts of materials to get the prices down so that they can make these knives and bring them to you at a great price. They have added some cool stuff, like whatever process they're using to get the gold and the blue on the liners. That's super cool. Nobody else, well, Rake Knives, I do believe, is doing some of that. So if that's the case, I know that this stuff is super tough, because that Rake knife that's got the blue on it, man, that blue is just super tough. So I don't know exactly how they're pulling it off, but it's really, really nice. And now let's talk about the blade steel, because that's what everyone's interested in. And the blade steel on these knives is 9CR18MOV. And what does that mean in the big scheme of things? Well, I don't know for sure. I have carried this knife and used it a lot over the past few weeks. This is the Backlash. But I haven't had to sharpen it, but I've been doing things with it that are pretty mundane. You know, slicing up some paper, you know, a few cardboard boxes, stuff like that. I haven't really put it to use like I would one of my harder used knives yet. I'm kind of waiting on the production versions to arrive. Whenever those arrive, then we will get more serious about it. So I contacted my buddy Stazza23, who has done a lot of work with this steel and a lot of testing on it, and he has a very high opinion of it. He says that the stuff is as good or better than VG10, and it doesn't roll off, meaning the fine edge doesn't go away like it does on VG10. So if that is the truth, and it's got to be, because I have cut a lot of paper and I have cut a lot of cardboard with this thing, and as you saw, it's still, I don't remember if I used this one or not, but yeah, it is still kind of freaky sharp. Another thing they're doing that we'll look at real quick is they are getting these dudes thin behind the edge. That's thin. That's a hollow ground. This is a flat ground. Thin behind the edge. And that's always a beautiful thing, especially whenever you're going to .120 or what is 120 blade stock in millimeters? I should know that. 3mm blade stock, which in this style of knife I think is a beautiful thing, because you know, you're not supposed to be using your knife for a pry bar, so that blade stock is nice and thin and very slicey. That's freaking awesome. Now, I am going to throw up, just so for those of you that try to do the pre-orders, which I assume are going to be up soon, you know, there you go. There's your Rat Model 1 in between them. Here is a Spyderco Delica. So these two knives are bigger than the Delica, and so is the Praxis. The Praxis has got 3.75 inch blade. This is not an SNG. This is an SMF. This is the big daddy of the Strider knives. What else do we have up here we can throw in just for fun? Oh, we'll go over with a Reich knife. There is an M2, and it's a big daddy knife too. It's a 3.9 inch blade. So all these knives right now are 375 on the Praxis, 375 on the Nausea, and 3.5 on the Backlash. So all normal size EDC knives, and I would assume that we will have some smaller ones in the future, and maybe some larger ones. But from what I understand about this brand, another thing that should be cool, now it's not going to happen with this initial batch. This initial batch, there will be X number of knives, and whenever they're gone, it may take a little while for them to be back in stock. But after the initial big run on the knives, whenever they first show up, I do believe that we plans to make these knives more readily available than their titanium knives. So if you go out and break one or mess one up, you should be able to get another one fairly easily. One thing I think I failed to talk about, we'll say real quick, is they are on stainless caged bearings. I've had this one apart. The bearings are very much like what you'd find in just about any bearing knife these days, and it's very good. The liners are fairly thick. They have good lockup on all of them that I've handled so far, and they do have the nice Civivi logo on the pivot, which is very simple. Should make many of you that get all upset about logo pivots and stuff a little happier. And very nice milling on this one. And that's what's cool here, is you may have this Balanoptera similar blade without the recurve, which is even better, because do you see a recurve in there? I don't see much of a recurve, if any. Maybe just a smidge, but I don't think so. But where the Balanoptera had this super grippy area that was not too grippy really, this is this is perfect. It is beautiful. Anyhow, guys, I'm going to let you out of here. I just wanted to bring these up to you and let you know that these guys are going to be available at ridiculous prices, in my opinion. We'll get some more testing. I'm going to get one of these knives to Staza here sometime soon, and he's going to do some of his more elaborate testing on these, and we'll find out more about the steel. What I know so far is, at their price point, this steel is going to kick butt. And if you have been a person who's been reluctant to buy some of the $50 or so knives because of D2 in many of them, then these knives are definitely for you, because this 9CR18 MOV should be a pretty good performer in that price category. Anyhow, guys, we'll see how they go. I think it's going to be good for everybody, and I think we's hitting a good price point. And you guys have a wonderful day. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Don't forget to watch us every week right here on the Zelrick YouTube channel to catch the Apex, where I bring all the news in a nice collated format for you to check out. And I'll see you next time.